President Donald Trump is back home in Florida this morning. He got there last night. After he pled not guilty to 34 felony counts of falsifying business records linked to various hush money payments around his 2016 election campaign.
He wasted no time in getting out of Manhattan. I'm telling you, they went from the courthouse to LaGuardia immediately.
Must be nice to have your own plane.
Once the documents were unsealed, I don't know that we learned anything that we didn't know before.
Well, the statement of facts is really the only thing that we learned anything from. The indictment itself, we got spoiled with the Brian Kohberger, the 4 students murdered. That affidavit had a lot in it. It had pretty much how they caught him. But this was, the indictment itself was a snooze fest. But the statement of facts was much more interesting that they released, because that implicated other people that we didn't know would play such a big role. David Pecker and then other people. And obviously Michael Cohen was thought to be like the star of this show with all the speculation about what was in the indictment. But then you realize that David Pecker, who was the CEO of National Enquirer, is a much bigger player in this than anybody assumed. Yeah.
But it did seem like a lot of folks were surprised by the lack of information, because they could have put more in there. Is that a strategy, or they don't have that much?
No, I think they have a lot, and they only have to put in, there's an old saying, you can indict a ham sandwich. It's not hard, right, and it's not hard to get an indictment. So they only really need to put in what they need to put in to get enough. And even there's a footnote in the statement of facts that says this isn't exhaustive of what we have. So they put in enough to get the indictment, enough to let the general public know what it's based on, but they don't really need to put in any more at this point.
Did the former president's attorneys ever say, he didn't do any of this? Are they just saying it's not Manhattan's jurisdiction?
No, I think what they're saying is that there have been some questions about whether this is even a violation of any campaign finance law. Forget the falsifying of business records. I mean, he's going to say, obviously, probably, I didn't have, control over these records. I didn't input the information. It was the other guy that was doing it. I mean, a typical defense in any criminal case.
Account.
Right, some other guy did it. But, in terms of the campaign finance violation, which supports the fact that this was upgraded to the felony, there are some questions about whether hush money paid to somebody is even a violation of campaign finance law. I mean, these are some untested legal theories that we're dealing with here. So there's a lot for the defense to sink its teeth into.
And again, there's no law against paying somebody to shut up.
Correct.
It's
That's
just where
the
the
other
money
thing.
came from, right? Or how
it's the purpose of the money. It's not. I've paid off 1 million people not to say bad things about me, and I'm not in jail.
Oh,
no,
we've heard.
Yeah, exactly. So. But it's different if you're using it as subterfuge to violate another law.
Why do we see McDougal on the left?
Because that was another payment. That was another adult film star that was paid off.
Well, she was a Playboy playmate.
Oh, okay.
Model.
All right.
Yeah.
So sort of an adult.
Well, not
star.
really. That's kind of a stretch.
So she was paid off also. And then there was a doorman that was paid off too, who had said that he had a story about Trump having a child out of wedlock.
That was the doorman at Trump Tower.
Right, and that turned out actually not to be true. So he was paid the money. In the statement of facts, it said he was paid the money, and then it turned out it wasn't true. So.
And when it came to the hearing, it was interesting, too, that they were trying to see if they could have a gag order, and that was shot down. Why was
I can see that. I mean,
because he's a public figure, and
also those aren't really typical. I mean, the Constitution affords, speedy and public trials, and so these things are not supposed to go on behind closed doors necessarily. So,
And when it comes to the next hearing, December, like when could we actually see this?
Far away.
I don't
January.
know. I know
it's the court system usually it's a
but for Trump, especially with running for office, the best thing would happen is that this is either disposed of like right now, or it is pushed out way into the future, because January, that's right in the middle of like, he's going to be campaigning. He's going to be going to Iowa and New Hampshire and all of these places. So the timing of that is...
And to other courtrooms.
And potentially to other courtrooms as well, right? So he's going to have his hands full this year and next.
All right. Well, we're just getting started with that story.
Right.
All right, Lexi, we'll see you probably 100 times before January.
Lucky you guys.
It's the best. We'll be right back.